I'm Hall of Fame photographer Don McGuire, and I'm chatting with Staxx. Make sure you check them out.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Don McGuire. What's up, Don?
What's up, homie? How you been, bro?
I'm doing great, bro. Thank you so much for coming on my show. I appreciate you taking the time.
Honor's all mine, brother. I know you asked me to do this probably 3, 4 weeks, 5 weeks ago, and my apologies, bro. I had to go through a couple of surgeries and things, but I'm a man of my word, and my brother Randy Marshall set it up, so I figured why not, you give your word, you got to keep your word. So here we are, brother. It's an honor.
Definitely. Thank you. And shout out to Randy, man. Appreciate you, bro. So we're gonna start off. You want to tell the people where you were born and raised?
Yeah, I was born in Sacramento, California. Wasn't really raised there. I mean, first 5 years of my life, and my father left my mother, and my mom had 6 other kids besides me. So back in those days, things were hard, and so my mom ended up going to the bar. They were playing a joke on this dude. They were gonna, he needed a ride. They acted like they were gonna give him a ride, and they were gonna pull off. Well, the car broke down, so this dude ended up helping him fix the car, and he ended up having to give him a ride. 3 days later, he shows up at my mama's house, and this dude didn't like me, so he kind of whoop on me, and so he was kind of cool with the other 6 kids, but not with me. But I was the oldest male, and so they shipped me off to live with my uncle, a couple aunts, a couple neighbors, some strangers, things of that nature. And then at the age of 7, I went to live with my real father. And my real father, he quite wealthy. Came home the second day I was there.
First time you met him? This is the first time you
No, man. I knew who he was. He left when I was 5, but there was no love loss, there was nothing. I'm a kid. And so it's like the second day he came home from work, he was like, I didn't sign up for this shit. And he put me in military school. So at the age of 7, I was shipped off to Alaska to go to military school. And I'm grateful for that, though. I mean, see, a lot of people would go, man, that's messed up. But no, man, I'm grateful for it, because when you tell my story, people will understand where the gratitude comes from. Because everybody looks at adversity as something that should hold us down. And for some reason, God, or whoever it may be, taught me at an early age that don't let adversity control who you are.
What was it like to be 7 and get shipped off? What was that day like? Were they screaming at you when you got off the bus or wherever you got off of? Was it like really strict like that?
Well, it was in Fairbanks, Alaska, on Eielson Air Force Base, and it was a little different. Being a little, I was just a little kid, and the discipline was, it was there. I'm not going to say it was nice. I'm not going to say it was horrific. How bad can you treat a 7-year-old kid? But see, it's weird for me, because military school did a lot for me. It taught me core values. It taught me principle. It taught me to appreciate what I could give to myself and what I can give to life. And although I didn't like getting up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and running and doing calisthenics before we even get to 7 or 8 minutes to eat breakfast, and then have to get showered and go to school, and go to school all day long, and then to go and do calisthenics and run and get 10 minutes to eat dinner, very limited TV. It was strict, but looking back now, it was it was something that I wish that I could have experienced anyway. So I can't really look at it as a downfall. The only part that really like left me hanging and had me in a place that I didn't really like was that every Christmas, every summer, I wanted to go home.
How long were you there for?
I I was there until I was 14. You're only allowed to go to that school until you're 14 years old.
What?
And
Wait, what? You were
yeah,
there from 7 to 14?
yeah,
Holy shit, man.
I got to go back to California one time, and it was only because my guardians were had a trip or a death or something, and I stayed with them in a town called Nenana, which was just little Athabascan Inuit village, and they were dope people, man. Some just a couple of hippies, but I really loved being with them, man. It made life cool because like I stayed in a barn that had a loft, and they had a blanket. Of course, there was hay underneath of it, but I can open up the doors in the top, and right there was the Nenana and the Tananock River. And I mean, Alaska's beautiful, bro. So, and then getting to learn from the villagers, the little Inuits, the Athabascans, and the Eskimos. And this is a town. Now, let me remind you, this is a town of 200. And the only reason there was 200 people there was because they were there working on the roads. If they hadn't been, I mean, all you had probably was, 100, 125 people in a little fishing village. There was a cannery there. They used to catch salmon on these like sideways windmills that would sit in the water.
Yeah,
And the
yeah,
water,
yeah. The
the water
boat,
would
right?
turn them. Yeah, water turns and flips them into a little bucket in the back of this handmade, thing. And the old man hit it in the head with a hammer or, whatever, a stick, and they'd take it back, and then they strip it down and smoke it, and they'd can it, and that's how the village made its money. So it was kind of a cool place for a kid to grow up. I mean, I remember walking through the forest, and now mind you, this is part of Alaska where you can walk where no man's ever walked before.
Yeah,
And I
grizzly
started finding
bears,
all,
all that, right?
yeah, yeah, big ones. But I started finding all these old boats and stuff. And so one day I asked John, I said, "Hey, why are all these old boats way up, on?" Because he said back in the 60s they had a flood. And during the gold rush, all these people were coming up here to mine. And when they had the flood pushed their boats onto land. And then when the water seceded, that's where they stayed. So on most of them, bro, honest to God, you could like find everything of theirs. The only thing they took back then was the necessities that they needed to get back to wherever they were from safely. So, man, you find glasses, books, their diaries, everything. And as a kid in the middle of freaking nowhere, you sit down and you read the stuff, let your mind roll with it. And it's kind of cool because you don't really realize how much you appreciate it until you're older. But I used to find like little family heirlooms and things like that that I've kept throughout the years that I sit back and I went and researched, and it's pretty cool what life can give you. And that's the sad part about today is because kids don't get that opportunity to see life like we did. They don't understand what it's like to come home when street lights come on. See, and I'm going to say this, you may or may cut it out later, but man, I'm 60 years old. Bro, it didn't matter what color my friends were when I was little. And society tries to tell us it should be an issue. Why? Because certain people say we should make it an issue. It just, it trips me out because it never mattered one bit what color somebody was to me. The great Morgan Freeman, and I call him the great because he's a tremendous man. He put out a video. A lot of people don't want nobody to see it. And there's this guy interviewing him. And then he's asking him as a black man, he says, there's the problem. He said, you put black man in front of my name. I put white man in front of your name. Why can't we just be that man? Really? And that's deep, bro. Because
Real deep.
if there was no sun, if we lived in darkness, would we know any different? No. See,
No.
I appreciate people for what's in here. The body's just a shell. You know, I'm Native American and Irish. I don't. That's a title or a tag somebody's put on us. But if I call you my brother and you down on your luck, ain't no color matter, bro. I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there. Bet that.
Definitely, man. Over the years, it changed, from wanting things in my life to really appreciating like core friendships and
Yeah.
relationships that I had, because in the past I didn't give a fuck about nothing. I didn't care about myself. So how could I even care about anyone else? You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
when you were in Alaska, did your parents come and visit you? Did you have like a visitation with them? Did they come up there or anything?
Nope. I just, man, I'll just tell the story real quick. And, there's some people that know it. Um, I've said when Kung Lee interviewed me, I think I brought it up. Uh, I graduated from 14 because you can only go to that school till you're 14. Then I had to go to school up in Oscoda, Michigan on Ward Smith Air Force Base. And I saved all my money, mowing yards and things throughout the years. And I always dreamt I was going to buy a car and I was going to go back home. And I graduated when I was 16 with honors, with offers to Good Officers Training Academy. And I took that car and I drove from Oscoda, Michigan, all the way back to Sacramento, California. And I knocked on my mother's door. And I said, I'm here. She says, what the fuck do you want from me? I said, obviously nothing. And I drove off. I went to downtown Sacramento. And I had just maybe probably a little over a quarter tank of gas in my car, no money in my pocket. And so I found this building downtown. It was an abandoned building. And so what I did was I parked my car and I'd sit all day long out on the porch stoop. And at night I would sleep in the car. But during the day, I'd go to like the Wendy's because back in those days they used to have a cellar bar in the middle of the restaurant. And
Yeah.
they would just give you a yellow salad plate. And so I'd go find someone that left it on the table. I'd take it in the bathroom, went out and wash it and rinse it off. And then I'd go out there and I'd eat salad, or I'd wait until Burger King and McDonald's threw out their food from the night. And I'd eat that way. And I had an aunt, my Aunt Sarah, God bless her soul. I, she wasn't very rich, but I'd find my way over to her place every now and then. And she would fatten me up a little bit. But I was sitting on that porch stoop and this old man came by. And he asked me if there was something wrong. I said, man, get away from me, you F, you know. And so he sat down. He said, hey, no, talk to me. I could offer you a job. I'd give you a place to stay. You tell me. And I said, see, you're an F and blah, 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 and he pulled out two cards and he was a construction owner, company owner, and he was a minister. And right then, it was like something in my heart. I remember that moment like it was yesterday, bro. Something in my heart said, trust him. And I did. And he turned out to be the greatest man I ever met. And the trip about this is a lot of people, I'm not trying to get all religious or anything, but a lot of people say there ain't no God. They say I'm stupid for believing in God after 250 surgeries and all this crap. But bro, you tell me, I'm in the middle of a town that I don't know nobody. My family don't want nothing to do with me. This old man come up out of nowhere and offer me an opportunity of life. I took him up on it. 3 months later, I met his granddaughter. I've been married to her for 38 years, got a 37-year-old son. So,
Wow.
people could look at life how they want to, but I'm gonna tell you what, that man was my dad. That man was my mentor. That man was my savior. That man made the man that created greatness in the sport. See, a lot of people wanna think that they created it. No, they don't want to give credit. Bro, I'm one of them dudes that I'm not in front of you. I'm not behind you. We side by side or we nothing. And her grandfather, and I remember it like, and I told this story on my show. I was sick and he came in, he grabbed me by the back of my collar, put his boot in my ass and threw me in the truck. He said, you digging ditches. I think it was 15, 16, 17 hours, something like that. And I was pissed. He come in that night to pick me up. He said, you learned anything? I said, yeah, but you're an asshole. He said, wrong answer. You're going to be digging ditches again tomorrow. He said, what you should have took from it is the world don't stop for you. You create responsibility. You take care of responsibility. Don't call in sick. Ain't nobody going to pay your bills. And the weirdest thing is that means more to me now than it meant to me when he told it to me. See, I don't know why God gave me such an opportunity to have such a tremendous man in my life. But a lot of people say I should be mad at my mom. My mom didn't tell me she loved me till I was 30, bro. But she also told me why she shipped me off. And I got the best 3, 4 years out of life with her, until she passed. People say I should be upset that I had to live the way that I did, but I wouldn't be this man. I wouldn't have been the man that stepped up, took care of my family. I wouldn't have been the man that stepped up. Because, I don't like to brag about stuff. I'm not, man, a lot of people want to make life about their accomplishments. But the only thing I told my wife, because I ran worldwide corporations, I was a chief engineer for the Hilton. I'm, I'm a very intellectual man, an intelligent man, but I love this sport. And the only thing I promised to my wife when she said, go live your dream, I said, I'm going to put my family's name in the history books. People laughed at me. People thought it was funny. But here we are, 39 years, baby.
And tell the people
I'm
how many rings you got again? How many rings?
5. Here's actually my latest one.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna put that on the thumbnail.
Yeah, I don't usually brag about things like this, but I'm glad you brought that up, bro, because I found out something in this sport. Because my friends come and go, so I don't have a circle of friends. I have a dot, and I'm not a pencil. I'm an eraser. So if I erase you from my dot, I erase you from my life. I got very few people in my dot. Those are my ride or dies. Like if I call one of them up and say, hey, I'm gonna be on the corner of Glenstone and Battlefield, I need you to come get me. No matter where you at, you're gonna say, give me 2 days, I'll be there. So those are the people that are in my dot. See, this industry will teach you real quick because it's very cliquish. You've done shows with the mob and things of this nature, and you know about the mob. All of us do. Well, I worked for the mob. When I first got into boxing, it was mob ran. So
Yeah, it's either you deal with them or you don't do it. Like, right?
well, be honest with you, I like the way they ran the sport. Compared to the way it's ran now, I like the way they ran it. You didn't have none of this bullshit. You didn't have. It's become a clown show, bro. And on some levels, like that power slap and you know phone booth fighting and car jujitsu and but people say, "Oh, Don, it's because you're old. It's because you're from a different era." No, it's because I love a damn sport that I dedicated almost December 12th will be 4 decades or 40 years, yeah, 4 decades that I've been in this sport.
And they're just making a mockery of it, basically.
Yeah, but I'm like we brought about the ring, man. I wanna retouch on one thing. See, I would usually never wear this, but I'm proud of it. I would this would just sit in my
I'd wear
box like
me. I'd wear all five every day. What's up? What's up? What's
nah, but
up?
but see, it's not about that for me. It's not about my walk in the sport ain't never been about me, bro. Ain't never gonna be about me. But the reason I wore this today is because it's like people in my diet, other people that I never thought that I would get the disrespect. It kind of tripped me out, bro, but I feel it. Like we was talking about before we went live. I feel it because they're the ones putting their life on the line, stepping in that ring, that cage, that mat. They're the ones that train 6, 7 days a week, 2 times a day, starve themselves, you know, and they don't get that opportunity. They don't get the opportunity to get one of these. Why should I get the right to have five? I feel it. It's not like, see, for me to like wear this is almost like a slap in their face
I don't see
because,
it that way, but I'm not a
well,
fighter, and I'm not,
but no,
so
bro, let me explain why. I truly love these fighters. I truly look at a lot of them as my kids. I've truly built multiple world champions throughout my career. And I've seen very few get opportunities to be in the Hall of Fame. And especially in the sport of boxing, half the time, well, most people don't know you got to be out of the sport for 2.5 years even to get into an international Hall of Fame. And then most of the time, you're already dead and your family's having to come accept the award.
yeah.
And see, bro, it's like I said about that old lady that falls and you drops her groceries and you help her. You're gonna be one of these people, or you're gonna be one of the people that keep it right here. And I'm one of them people that keeps it right here. See, I'm proud of this because this one really meant something to me, and I would never wear it with the intent of disrespecting anybody. But see, people need to understand that I've kept my mouth shut for 39 years, and I'm still gonna keep my mouth shut. But there's one part about this that people need to understand. I promised my wife I'd put her into history. I did. I'm the only 5-time inducted Hall of Fame photographer in boxing and in MMA.
It's huge, man.
And that's all, man, that's the only thing I'm proud of because I kept my promise to my wife. It ain't about showing nobody up. There's this kid named Nate Wren that I'm teaching right now the business. I help a lot of people, bro. But this kid is special. I see me in this kid. So if I could teach this young kid to jump without making the mistakes that I did, hell, bro, I'm going to in a heartbeat. And this kid, I want him to surpass me. I want him to do better than I do. See, that's the thing about me. And like I told you, I don't go on a lot of shows. I turn them down. But I want people to do better than me. And it's not that I like that challenge of trying to catch up. No, man, life is supposed to be that way. Everybody's supposed to appreciate and want the betterment for their fellow man or woman, but they don't practice what they preach.
It's a lot of selfishness out there, I think. You know?
Yeah. Bro, I practice what I preach. And a lot of people for a long time didn't think that I was the same person that you go meet in life, that you meet at an event, that's on my show. Bro, why the fuck should I change up for you? Who are you to make me change up? I mean, I only owe respect to three people in this world, and that's God, my grandfather, and my wife. Other than that, I don't get two fucks. I don't owe you anything. Doesn't mean I'm not going to help you, but it's like at the end of the day, my wife has been there. Man, any other woman would have left me, bro. For think about it, I used to be gone 40 weeks a year. And then she kind of got mad.
For the job, right? For the
Yeah, yeah. And
I want to
then
talk a little bit about that, how you got into the aspect of filming things and taking pictures. Like, how did you even get into that
by
niche
accident,
of doing it?
honestly, I got into it by, bro, I I went to my cousin was fighting, a little smoker, a little Muay Thai smoker, if that's even what you would call it. And the dude that was supposed to take pictures didn't even show up. And so they said, well, I guess you're taking pictures.
They
What?
gave
Huh?
you a camera. They said,
Yeah,
"Here's a camera. Take some pictures."
35 millimeter camera, bro. And
Wow.
I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And, bro, to think, and then this is going to blow your mind. Because, see, back in them days, there was no cell phones, there wasn't no internet. So I take these pictures at a fight. And there was only rotary phones back then. And somehow HBO and a couple other people get a hold of me because these pictures that I took supposedly ended up in a magazine or whatever. And so they ended up reaching out to me. And I was honest with them. I said, I ain't never done this before.
So
And
you took the pictures, gave them the camera back, and then just went about your business?
yeah, and
And
then,
then they reach out to you, and you're just like, "What?"
well, months later,
Wow.
one of my people told me that they were trying to get a hold of me. And so I called and they asked me would I shoot a fight. And I said, I ain't never shot a fight before. I said, well, we seen your pictures. And, of course, they wouldn't have them developed or developed themselves. I don't know what they did with them. And so I ended up taking them up on the offer. And, the rest is, I was honest with them. I told them I don't even own a camera.
What was
And the promotion,
what was your first day? What did it look like walking into there? You're fresh, you're green, you don't know nothing. What was your first day
uh,
like on the job for HBO?
well, honestly, I got to understand, you got to really let me tell the stories because I told them I don't have a camera. I said, well, you know, you're going to do this, you're going to do it now. And, we'll buy you a camera, whatever. And so I was like, okay. And I took them up on their offer. And my first event, they kind of walked me through everything, told me where I could go, where I couldn't go. Um, and I said, I've never done this before. And they said, we understand that, but, we'll walk you through it. And there was this old dude kind of somewhat took me under his wing. I ain't gonna say took me under his wing because he sure as hell wouldn't teach me nothing.
He didn't want you to go ahead at all, probably.
But my first event was at the Crystal Cathedral in the UK, and so it was like living a dream, but being in a dream. It was like this can't be happening. This is too surreal. When's the joke when's the punchline gonna, happen? And it never did. And, a lot of people want to ridicule me and say that I was spoon fed, that I started at the top, that I didn't have to work as hard as everybody from, to get from the bottom to the top. And it's the truth. It's the truth. But I may have started at the top, but you're only as good as your last fight. So I didn't do it right, or if I didn't have something special about the way I took pictures, then I wouldn't have been allowed to stay. Boxing is an unforgiving sport. People think MMA is a trip, bro. You don't want to end up in a back alley at a boxing match. So they, I don't know, they saw something in me that I didn't see, but I earned my way to stay there. I earned my right to stay there.
Because you maintained that work ethic through your career, and you kept persisting,
I kept growing.
Yeah.
I had an eagerness to learn. My grandfather, he always taught me, make tomorrow better than today. And he taught me a lot about life, bro. It's like anybody can take a picture with a camera. What I do ain't special. It's not. But what comes from here, I don't know, man. It's almost like I was born to do this. Because, be honest with you, still to this day, I'm considered one of the top 5 photographers in the world. Consider them top 10 of all time. And I don't see it. I don't see what y'all see.
Everybody else sees it.
I get it, bro, but I really don't see it, man.
Do you think you have a signature shot, maybe a shot that you like to take, that when there's a fight going on, is there like a signature time when you like to take a picture, or is there anything like that?
Not really, man. I'm an overshooter. Because most people, they don't even understand what I just said. Okay, you could tap your finger like that on my camera, and it's going to do an 18 to 20 shot burst. I mean, people don't understand how, especially when we went from 35 millimeter to digital. I had to teach myself again, and the whole game changed. But I really love the digital era of it, because you could just go like that and take 20 pictures in a blink of an eye. And see, for the longest time, man, like I didn't want to miss the shot, so I would keep hitting the button, and it's like, man, end of the day, you got 5,000.
So it'd be
Yeah,
continuous. Like the whole fight is one shot, right?
Well, really, I mean, honestly, yeah, because, bro, it was like, if you would go through the slide on my camera, you could actually watch the fight play out.
Yeah.
And, that's what, there's no secret to what I did, bro. No secret, because I created more work for myself, because I'd have to go through the 4,000, 4,500 pictures that I freaking took, but to find those gems, but I got them. And then one day, this old dude, man, Lenny Krusik, he said, what do you look for? When do you know to shoot? I was like, that's a damn good question. And he said, you don't know, do you? And I said, well, I look for it, and he's like, no, 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 no. He said, you need to look at the neck. You need to look at the back. He said, you need to look at the feet. And I thought about it, so I started doing that. As soon as the minute you see like a back muscle or the neck muscle or something, just you see the shift in the muscle. You see it tighten up. You see, and it's like, then you know to hit the button. So I cut that more realistically 4,500 to 5,000 pictures down to maybe 3,500 pictures by doing that. And then I'd go create a subfolder, go through them again, create another subfolder. And then I still have like 800 pictures, and I'd go through it. I'd just hurry up, go through them again, and then I'd create maybe, a final folder of 400 pictures out of 3,500. And then I'd go through and edit those. And then I'd go through them again and create a smaller folder. And then that's what the promotion would get.